What it do, good man fam, and welcome to the next episode of the podcast, the I Have a Theory podcast. Now, this happened a while ago, and I wanted to speak about it. So, a while ago, I was going into McDonald's to do some work, right? And I saw these two boys sitting with this one young black girl, two booths in front of me. At about 2 o'clock, direction wise, there were two females speaking in another booth. So, the one about whom I'm speaking is like she looked about 70 years old, right? Now, the young girl sitting with the two boys, she was black and the two boys were black as well. Now, I'm just paying attention to myself, just working on what it is on which I'm working and time passing, right? They're playing a video out loud, which of course you shouldn't be doing in a freaking restaurant, but whatever. So time passes and I hear a little bit of commotion and I look up. They're getting up to leave. At least two of them were. I noticed that the girl was, and I noticed that the girl was grabbing on the one slender boy who was the shortest one and pulling him where she wanted him to go, just pulling him. All I kept thinking was, why are they being so loud? Anyway, from across the restaurant, she says to the boy still sitting down in front of me to get up. And he looks over at her and says, come get me. Alluding to how she did the other young man. So her and the other young man both walked back over to that booth and she grabbed him too and tried to pull him up, but he wouldn't let her. The first boy said something to her and then she just hit him on the arm. Then turned around and started walking out, and the first boy followed her. So her and the first guys started leaving. They walked right past me, and the one young man who was still in the booth and getting up, who was, really tall, said to her that she was mean. And she responded, no, I'm not. And when he walked by me, because I was sitting closer to the door in that booth, I said, you are, alluding to the girl being mean. Then the other lady about whom I was speaking, she was speaking with another female about her escapades. And if y'all know what escapades mean, she said her name was Kelly or something like that. Now, she has had 3 husbands. And she cut up one of her husband's furniture, who she sent to jail and sold some of it. And she said that after one of her husbands died, she was dating and sleeping with dudes with only one rule. When you say you love her, she leaves you. So she said they were having oral sex, and he started shaking and climaxing and said he loves her, and she said it's over immediately. That's freaking crazy, yo. She kept on talking about taking their assets, their assets. She said she went into menopause at 40, and it was from quote unquote working hard your whole life and supporting your whole family. She said to her friend that the guy her friend is with is kissing her butt because she's paying all of the bills and doesn't want to work. She even said that some people say that she's mean, but it's not that. She's just real and doesn't take any crap from nobody. Come on, man. Ma'am, that translates to you're mean. But the craziest thing she said was all the blacks moved up here. Yes, she said the blacks. That's crazy, bro. She was like a walking parody of both a seeming racist and a modern female. No wonder she was just getting banged by guys for the past several decades, 30 years or something like that. She looked like she was 70 years old and used, real talk. But the final strategy was when her friend said, I'm not saying I let it run my life, but I'm really into astrology. And then she said that she was into astrology too, and then mentioned her psychic. That was it for me. I was done. That was it. Then she threw in taking edibles daily for get measured. It was a wrap for me right then. So my point of telling you all these stories is think about both of those stories. Did you notice a pattern? See, my theory is that one of the primary reasons why females become modern females and act the way they act nowadays is because of all of the things with which males let them get away throughout their entire childhood. And if males didn't allow that unchecked young bad behavior, like hitting boys and trying to literally drag them around, that even with the internet, there is absolutely no way they would end up elderly and entitled like the other lady. You end up going from where that young black female was to being like that older white lady because of that entitlement that males end up letting happen. We never tend to check that bullcrap. This is why they're so absolutely just ridiculously delusional. Now I'm going to let you all listen to something. I'm going to let it play in its entirety. I think it's like a minute and a half, 2 minutes or something like that. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about this because this is absolutely bananas in pajamas. All right.
I told you I'm not fat. So that already gives you the description of what I think fat is.
You know you're fat though, right?
No.
I need to be very clear. Like it's not joking roasting anymore. Like I need to be very clear for the sake of health and the sake of everyone out there. Mm-hmm. You cannot think that this is considered normal.
I'm not fat. I'm not skinny. I'm not fat.
You are fat. This is not an insult. I want to be very clear.
I understand what you're doing.
We cannot do fat acceptance. It is not okay.
I wouldn't consider you fat either.
Girl, I'm obese.
Wouldn't consider you fat.
It doesn't matter what you do. Science does. It is not healthy. We are not going to live long lives. My energy levels are not as good as other people. My resting heart rate is not as good as everyone else. I am more susceptible to high blood pressure and diabetes. So are you. These are not good things. And this is not the point of this conversation, but the fact that we got down it, I need to be very clear. And it is important for those watching. Accepting this as not fat is just not the real world. That's not the real world, and that is not okay. It's not acceptable, and it is not healthy or normal.
What do you want me to tell you? I'm not fat.
I was hoping maybe you'd kind of come around and be willing to try to live whether or not you live a healthier lifestyle is up to you, but to just accept this as healthy is kind of unacceptable.
I never once said healthy. I just said I'm not fat and I'm not skinny.
Now that we're just on the topic, I really can't allow people out there to. The fat acceptance movement has led to deaths and horrible health insurance premiums for all of us.
Yeah, that's why I don't have health insurance, because I can't afford it.
Oh my.
Hear me when I tell you that she's fat. She is. Now, she has a cute face, but she's fat. But why in the world do you think that even though the dude who's sitting in front of her saying to her, listen, you're fat, and he's saying, I'm obese, and he's a male, so the actual amount of bone density, muscle mass, all of that stuff is going to fit on him more naturally because he's built to be bigger. She's bigger than him from what it looks like, and she's saying she's not fat. And when I tell you I'm looking at her face looks like she really, truly believes that. Think about the insanity of that. Something that is factual. She is fat. He's obese. If he's obese, she's obese. But fat is supposed to come before obese, right? He's telling her, you're fat. He's giving her an olive branch, to be honest, when she's actually obese, and she doesn't even want to concede that she's that. Now, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? It's because, I tell people this is It's because the way females move, particularly modern females, but females in general do this, is that they, because they've been told they're the most awesome thing their entire freaking life, when something hits them that's true, that makes them feel a certain way, they have to bend the world around them in order to make themselves feel better. So you get told the truth about your weight. You get told the truth. Everybody's sitting, looking, and seeing you, right? You have to bend the world around you to try to make the thing that's true that will make you feel bad not true. This is why she then threw in the qualifier. She said, I'm not skinny, but I'm not fat. Remember she said that? I'm not skinny, but I'm not fat. Because what did I tell you? It's the same when it comes to males and females speaking. Females can never take an L. They can never take a loss. It has to be they win or you tie. It cannot be they lose. So because her being fat would be considered her losing, guess what she did? She said, I have to find a way to make it to where it's even, because he's hitting her with stuff and he's knocking down her delusion wall. He's knocking bricks off of her delusion wall. So now that the bricks are getting knocked off, she's starting to think that she won't be able to uphold this delusion. So what does she have to do? She has to concede something. So she says, she goes from, I'm not fat to, okay, I'm not fat, but I'm not skinny. So that's her saying, I'm not in shape, but I'm not past here. I'm in the middle to where you can't say nothing about me. That's what she wants. She wants it to be able to be the case that you can't say anything about her, regardless of what the facts are. They have been told their life so many lies for so long. They've been told they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. They're the prize, all of this stuff, to where they now will not accept literal reality. This is crazy, man. And it's because we've allowed this craziness to happen. I'm talking about us males. We've allowed this craziness to happen. Why do you think the black young female was grabbing on the boy and trying to drag him? Because in her mind, she's like, he's either going to come with me or I can hit him, do whatever, and nobody's going to do anything. Those are her only two choices. What is this other female's other two choices? The one who says she's not fat. Her only two choices are, I'm not fat or I'm skinny. So it's either I'm in the middle or I'm skinny. She's not going to concede that she's fat, even though he's starting to knock down her delusional wall. Them being told from when they were kids that they're princesses, that they're the greatest, that they're beautiful, never let anybody A, B, and C. Then they get 12 years old and then they have little boys just always trying to holler at them. And they don't even realize why that's the case until they reach about 16, 17, and they realize, oh, it's because of this biological thing that's happening with them. And then when they find out that it has something to do with their reproductive organs, and guess what they do? They start using it to their advantage. Hence why you'll get these females who go into OF the minute they turn 18, and like the one who broke Bad Baby's record of what was it, 6 hours making $1 million. I think she made it in like 3 hours or something crazy. $1 million. Because she was, even though that there was this one female, I think, who had done OF telling her, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. She was telling her, it's like this famous video of both of them sitting in front of each other, and she's telling her not to do it. And she's like, I hear you, I hear you, I hear you. And then guess what she did? She did it anyway. She did it anyway. Why? Because in her mind, she probably is thinking about two things. She's probably thinking the amount of money that she's going to make, because they've been pushing money, that matters more than integrity or anything online to these young females. And the fact that she thinks, because she's been told she's the princess, she's the prize, everything, that she's going to end up not having any problems from her doing it. She probably literally believes that. Probably because she sees these females who are older trying to tell people that if a male thinks differently about a female because she did OF or because she did whatever would be considered something males didn't like, that it equaled that something was wrong with the male. So if a male doesn't want to be in a relationship with the female because she has too many bodies, something's wrong with him. Insert whatever shaming language. If a male doesn't want to be in a relationship with the female because she was on OF, something's wrong with him. He's insecure. Insert, shaming language. This is what they do. So they see this stuff, and then in their mind, they have in their verbal holsters what they're going to do if anybody says anything against what it is that they chose to do to make this money quickly. But somebody said the saying, fast money comes with slow problems. Okay? And some people don't like the guy who said it. But it's not about whether or not you like the guy who said it. It's about whether or not what the person said is true. Fast money comes with slow problems. It's the same thing when you're talking about drugs. It's the same thing when you're talking about sex work. This stuff comes with long-term problems. And then when they realize the problems with which it comes, and I won't even say realize, because they were told about those problems. When they finally accept the reality of what it was that they've been told 10 years later, 15 years later, or whatever, guess what happens? They realize they can't change it. Because there is no back to the future. You can't go back in time and change what it is you did. This is not that Adam Sandler movie, that old school movie Click. This is not that. You can't go back and change it. This is why fathers being in these females' lives is so important, because they help stop them from doing this bull crap. They help stop them. But when you don't have these fathers in their lives, guess what you find out? You find out that these females are out here wilding. I'm talking about completely wilding, like crazy. And it's really, really sad, because males, we could have stopped this. But part of the reason why we didn't stop it was because, what do I say all the time? Because these females look like little brothers to us. And what I mean by that is, you know how your little brother will come up to you and punch you on the arm and do all of that stuff, and you're just like, oh, whatever, it's my little brother. His punches feel like feathers. That's how we looked at the females doing this stuff. That's how we looked at them talking to us. That's how we looked at them talking about they were going to do A, B, and C. We just kind of blow them off, because we're like, we understand that males are a superior human. The average male is a superior human to the average female. That's not me talking. That's just biology. Okay? And so we don't pay females any attention in that regard, because males are our competition. Males are, not females. Again, it's no offense to them. It's just, that's just what it is. But guess what? They'll hear this and they'll get offended by this too. Why? Because again, they've been told their whole life that they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. So when you tell them males are a better human than them, the average male, just in our makeup, in their mind, they're like, no, that can't be the case, because I've been told I'm the one who's sitting up here and he's supposed to grovel at my feet. What does he mean he's the superior human? I'm just talking about biology. And because we've allowed females to think that things are different than what they actually are, that's why we have all of these young females grabbing on males, yanking them, doing all type of stuff, telling this one, get up, trying to yank the other tall guy up. So we have this one elderly female talking about if a male tells her he loves her, then she's immediately out. How much of your doggone oxytocin has to be gone for you to be a female and a male, the first time he tells you he loves you, it doesn't matter if he's been with you for 4 years. This is how she was talking. It didn't matter if he'd been with her for 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever. The minute he tells her he loves her, she's like, I'm out. How much of your oxytocin has to be just completely, utterly burned out for you to think that somebody telling you that they love you, a male, equals something bad. Yo, this is crazy. This is crazy, y'all. And this is what you never, ever, ever want for your daughters. This is why when a male, when males have those gender release parties, where it's not even really the males happening, when the female has a gender release party to which she, in essence, forces a male to go because he really doesn't want to go. He really doesn't even want to have those parties. And the thing bursts and it's pink. Everybody's clapping, yay! And they're clapping all. Look at the dude's face. Look at the dude's face. His face is a face of sheer horror because he understands what's going to be pushed into her. If he stays in her life, he can, do some damage against it. But he understands, one, what's going to be pushed against her. Two, the guys out there who are being trained that being a certain type of guy is what gets you the girls, not being a good guy. So he knows, he's like, my daughter's going to possibly go towards one of those dudes as well, unless I fight tooth and nail to stop that from being programmed in her. He understands he's going to have a much, much, much more difficult time trying to make sure that she turns out to be a law-abiding, moral, functional adult. Because, man, imagine you being told you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Imagine you being able to hit on the opposite sex and nothing happened to you. Imagine you being able to just tell the opposite sex you want something and they just hand you money. Just imagine that. Dude, there was this one female, and I've talked about this previously. There was this one female who went on Instagram and she posted her, I think it's called the wish list on Amazon. She posted a wish list. And that wish list had about $150 worth of stuff on it, if I'm remembering correctly. And that $150, she posted telling everybody this thing costs that much money and I wish that I could get it. And that's what she posted. It turns out that she started getting DMs from guys who were asking her if she had gotten the money for the wish list. And she said no. She told all of them she had not. Think about that. She told all of those guys she hadn't. So guess what those guys did? Each one of those guys sent her $150. Now that's kind of technically fraud, right? At least that's what it sounds like to me. But guess what she did? She took all $1,500 and she went and bought the $150 from her wish list, and she put the other $1,300 to whatever it is to which she wanted to put it, or toward which she wanted to put it. And then went on TikTok and told everybody what she did on Instagram. And I'm sitting there watching the video, and I'm just shaking my head like, bruh. I need you all to think about the magnitude of what I just said. I want you to think about the layers here, okay? The layer that was the most mind-boggling to me was that she literally told everybody that she had, in essence, committed a crime. She told everybody willingly. Why is it that you think she told everybody willingly? Remember, that's the first layer, the fact that she told everybody willingly. The second layer of that is the reason she told everybody willingly is because she's been trained that there are no consequences for her actions. Think about that. And I think she was cute. So I guess it's in part because she's like, well, cute girls don't get consequences, right? But what was the next layer? The next layer was she realized that this was going to get her some clout. This was going to get her clout from the sisterhood. And of course, what do you think was in the comments section? I know that's right, girl. Get them, all that type of crap. If you're going to be a trick, you're going to be a trick. They say a male doesn't spend money on a female. Then they say he's sassy, he's broke, he's whatever else, right? He spends money on him, calls him a trick. The real thing is males spend money, or males are supposed to spend money at least, on females who reciprocate some type of value. I spend money on my friends. You know, I spend money on my friends because my friends do things for me. I'm talking about the females and the males. They do things for me. Or I'll give my male friends, because they need this more, I'll give them services that they need, at which I'm an actual specialist or something, you know. But that's why she also told that story. She wanted to get the clout from the sisterhood. She wanted to get all the dopamine hits of all of them telling her how freaking awesome that she was, that she got these dudes. This is the absolute worst. It's the absolute worst, y'all. And us males did this. This is why they go from young and unchecked to elderly and entitled. Because when you get checked when you're younger, that entitlement starts getting curtailed. But what's the saying that they have out there? Monique is famous for saying this. Who gonna check me, boo? They don't want to be checked. And this is why I feel bad for women. Because there's only about 22% of women, 22 to 24% of women out there now. There's only about 22 to 24% of women out there now. I'm talking about in the West, in the States. There's about 76 to 78% of females who are modern females. Those aren't women. They're not women at all. Modern females have taken over. And because they've taken over, the women are having a massively difficult time trying to fight against them. That's just what it is. Because the women understand the hierarchy in the relationship sphere. They understand that. They understand males are driving, females are in the passenger seat, helping the male navigate. They understand that. But if you say that to a modern female, you know what's going to happen? She's going to get offended. She's going to get offended. What? I help you navigate. No, I can drive. And then she'll reach over and start trying to grab the doggone freaking steering wheel while you're trying to drive. It's freaking insane, y'all. It's insane. I really feel bad, too, for women, because how in the world are they supposed to put themselves out there to males when males are seeing the majority of these females out here being these modern females who don't give a crap about nobody but themselves? So now when males see a female coming, they don't know if it's a traditional woman, or modern female. They don't know if she's on the woman side of things or on the modern female side of things. And because of that, males are now avoiding females. This entitlement, because it's come from females being unchecked when they were young. That entitlement, when they get older, has made it to the point to where even the baddest chicks in the world are running into these same problems. I'm going to tell y'all something. there's a female named Corey Raven. Okay. Now, Corey Raven, when I tell you she's bad, bad, she is bad, bad. I'm talking about Halle Berry level bad. You can put her and Halle Berry side by side when they were younger, and you would not know which one to pick. You'd be like, good Lord, she's that cold, okay? Face wise, all right? When she was younger, she had a fantastic figure as well, right? She didn't have a gargantuan gluteus, but she had a really nice figure, okay? I've been watching her for a lot of years, right? I've just been watching her because the level of pretty that her face is, I was like, this is going to be a problem for her. This is going to be a serious problem for her. And the reason it's going to be a problem for her is because she gets everything without having to do virtually anything. Now, she might, do some work as well. I'm not saying that. No shade to her. But best believe that the things that she's getting as far as having 800,000 or something followers that she has on Instagram is from how she looks. It's not because she has some program where, you can learn English or something like that. Let's just be honest, okay? Now, she may be smart, she may be whatever, I don't know. But I'm telling you, what she's getting is from that, all right? I watched her for years, okay? I just scroll by, I see her pictures and all. I'm like, man, she's cold. I started noticing something in the past 5 years or so. I started noticing that her face started getting a little rounder. I started noticing that her arms started getting a little bigger. I started noticing that her stomach started getting a little bit, just at the bottom, a little pudge. And I'm like, Like, okay, I'm like, she's gaining weight. And so I juxtaposed her younger pictures with her older pictures, right? And I was like, yeah, she didn't gain weight. She doesn't look the same. She's not as pretty as she was then. However, because she's so pretty, she's like a 9.7, right? Because she started out there, her pretty is still like 9, 8.8 type thing. She's still way up there. The thing is, she is actually doing modeling for, organizations, clothing, and all of that different stuff, even though she's gained some weight now. Because she has the clout, she's beautiful in the whole nine. Now, she may or may not have a man. I don't know. But I look at some of the things that she posts as far as the captions and all, and it's the modern female type captions. It's the who gonna check me, boo, all that type. It's that type of thing. And I just sit there and shake my head like, man, would she be talking like that if she wasn't as gorgeous as she is? In this day and age, she probably would, because even the most unattractive females are still talking like they're some type of prize, right? But who knows? Then I looked at another female named Sakurana Ware. And she, when I tell you, oh my goodness, she was so bad. It was just, I used to look at her picture and I used to look at her feminazi scale, like the distance of her nose to her eyes and all that stuff. And I just used to be like, God, her face is so beautiful, right? I looked at her, fast forward down the years, all the years past, and she is now, dude, she has to be like 80, 90 more pounds than what she was. Because now she's like modeling, I don't know if it's underwear or whatever that type of, clothing is for females now. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, she probably shouldn't be modeling that because she doesn't look the same. It doesn't look, appealing. But she's also like full blown hood, dude. She's like one of those chicks who will fight somebody type thing. And I'm thinking, she's probably like that in large part because she was so pretty to where when she talked reckless to people, people just kind of let it slide. They didn't say, who you talking to, or whatever. They'd be like, come on, Ma, why you got to be like that towards me? They would switch to that mode instead of saying, who the freak you talking to type thing, because she was so goddamn gorgeous, right? And I think about, they were early 20 somethings when I first ran into them. And I think both of them are now maybe in their 30s or at least 30, something like that, maybe 29, but I think they're in their 30s. And I'm looking at them and I'm just like, Sakurana, she's really fallen off as far as how she looks. No shade to anybody, I'm just being honest. Corey Raven, she's gained weight, but she's still, like, you look at her, she still has a figure. So her figure still looks kind of like how she looked when she was younger. It's almost like she just put on maybe 25, 30 pounds compared to Sakurana put on like 80 and 90 pounds. So she just has completely fallen off. The problem with this is, because modern females who are this beautiful have been treated the way they've been treated their whole life, when they get to the point to where their beauty card has fallen off, they don't say, let me make any adjustments. What they say is, let the world around me make adjustments. So instead of me losing some weight, I'm going to say to the store, y'all need to have a BBW section. Instead of me losing weight, I'm going to say to the contractor, you need to make these doors bigger. Instead of me losing weight, I'm going to say to the airline, y'all need to make y'all seats bigger. And it's because they've never had to really do the work in order to get something. Now, again, everybody does some work, whether you worked at McDonald's, whatever. I'm not talking about that. About what I'm talking is the exchange primarily between males and females. Now, other stuff comes into play too. People will hand you stuff just to give it to you, but they're not handing it to you because you're just some wonderful human. They're handing it to you because humans look at other humans, and people who are pretty have pretty privilege. That's a real thing. So imagine a female who gets treated a certain way when she's younger simply because she's a female by these young cats. Then she realizes what it is that she actually is and what these males want. So she starts using that to her advantage when she gets older, and then she starts an OF or something like that. Imagine those females who are getting everything just thrown and handed at them. They're on yachts, they're getting flown out, the whole nine, right? Or as the saying goes, flued out. What makes you think that after growing up and being programmed into that life of I get everything for nothing for 30, 33 years, that they're all of a sudden going to be gung-ho to say, hold on, let me start getting myself a personality? What makes you think they're going to do that? This is why guys talk about, oh yeah, you don't want to deal with none of those 9.5s. You don't want to deal with none of those chicks that are gorgeous. You know, because you had a whole, 6 is supposed to be cute, 7 is pretty, 8 is beautiful, 9 is gorgeous. There are no 10s, of course, but you don't want to deal with the 9s. And they say because the 9s, it's a couple of different things. The 9s, first of all, have no personality because they never had to have personality. That's what normally happens. Now, it's rare cases. I know some bad chicks who have the most beautiful attitudes. You wouldn't even believe. You'd be like, no, she can't be this pretty and this be real. She has to be faking it. But I know a couple who are freaking amazing, right? So, but they normally don't have to be amazing. Not in that regard, because they're pretty, so they get whatever the freak they want to get. That's what normally happens. And so when you have somebody that pretty and they're getting older, they become who? They become the Lisa Rays and the Vivica Foxes of the world. That's to where I believe Sacriana Ware and Corey Raven are going. I believe they're going that direction because they were so pretty when they were younger. Corey Raven is still, Sacriana has fallen off, but they were, when I tell you pretty, it's ridiculous how gorgeous they were. It don't make no doggone sense. I think they're going the way of the Lisa Rays and the Vivica Foxes. Freaking Lisa Ray, I saw her in the Cisco video Incomplete because I was thinking about like people who can sing, and I was making this. I was like, Cisco, he can sing. He can really sing. So I started thinking about that, and I was like, let me listen to this one song, the Incomplete song. So I started listening to the song, and she popped up, and I did not remember she was in that video. And man, oh freaking man, when I tell you she was beyond bad. Oh my goodness, y'all. Dude, go back and look at that Cisco Incomplete video. Lisa Ray was cold, y'all. Diamond level cold. And she ended up getting with, y'all have to correct me on this, she ended up getting with a prince or a king or something like that, right? And what happened was, I believe that she actually, maybe he messed with some other girls or something. And when that happened, she probably had in her mind this whole, I'm the prize. And because of her thinking that, she left literal royalty. Think about that. She left literal royalty. Now, I could be wrong. This is what I think happened, okay? So, I think he was, who was it? It was like Turks and Caicos or something like that. Okay. She was actually, I think she was the first lady. I think she's a princess or something, but she was, I guess, like the queen. And she decided, no, I'm leaving. And why in the world was somebody who was that pretty when they were younger, who married the doggone freaking like prime minister or whatever the freak he was of Turks and Caicos, why in the world would somebody who has access to that think that they should have anything less than that? They've been programmed their whole life that where they get the highest of everything. Her diamond in that movie, The Players Club, and all the just constant, everybody's like, gosh, she's pretty, you're pretty, you're pretty, you're pretty. 30, 40, 50 years, you're pretty, you're gorgeous, you're the prize. Why do you think she's now 50 some, however the freak old she is, and she's what? Talking about, she literally said this, the person has to pay all her bills. She ain't get with nobody who ain't gonna pay all her bills. Why? Why do you think she wouldn't say that? Her whole life has been, everything is about you. Even though she's not who she once was. That's the crazy thing. She's not who she once was. Dude, listen. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, man. Females need to first understand something. They need to understand something about males. They need to understand and accept what males are. Males want multiple women. That's just what it is. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. That's what it is. For you to think that the guy you're with who has that level of money, power, fame, the whole nine, is just going to be with you, that's a level of hubris I've never seen anywhere but in modern females, because she's so pretty, she thinks there's no way in the world he should want anybody else. Well, you think that because you don't know males. And now here she is at this ripe old age of 50-something, 60, however old she is, thinking that she's still going to do the same doggone thing. She's still going to say, no, you going to do what I want you to do. Ma'am, you didn't have that guy do what you wanted him to do when you were younger. You're now more, overweight. and you're not as pretty, you think that you're going to get a guy to do what you want him to do, you need to humble yourself. But nope, she won't, and neither will Vivica Fox. Think about Vivica Fox. Vivica Fox wasn't even as bad as Sacriana Ware or Corey Raven or Halle Berry or Lisa Ray. And Halle Berry's still bad. But figure everything, right? Skin, beautiful, the whole nine. Vivica Fox wasn't even as bad as them. She looks good, but she wasn't as bad as them. And even though she's looking the way that she's looking, she's still talking like she's at her peak or something. And people are looking at her like, ma'am, you do know you don't have the sexual market value anymore. Your SMV is way down. It's way lower than Lisa Ray's because she doesn't look as good as Lisa Ray, but she's acting like Lisa Ray. It would be different for Vivica Fox if Vivica Fox had a better attitude than Lisa Ray. Then more people would want her over Lisa Ray, even though Lisa Ray's prettier because of the attitude. But both of their attitudes suck. Unfortunately, man, if Lisa Ray had an attitude of a female that was more grateful, man, she would be having people still knocking down her door who was rich, who was wealthy. Well off. She'd be having people knocking her door down, bruh. But she's still in this arrogant phase like she's the 25, 22, whatever year old diamond. She's not. But this is part of the problem. Because what? When a female is young and they are not checked, they're young and unchecked, what is eventually going to happen? Dang near every single time, they're going to become elderly and entitled.
So, what are your thoughts on this? Put it in the comments section because comments really help push the video. Then grab yourself some merch on the way out in order to support the channel. And don't forget to click like and subscribe. Thanks, good man fam.